Manchester! I've always wanted to do that. My name's Tom. You can find me here on the Fediverse. There's a little bit of code at the end, but don't worry if you're not a coder. You can find the code for that on Codeberg. And I'm also going to mention a project called Listen Brains. So you can find my musical taste on there, and we can see how compatible we are. You might know me from my previous albums, such as running science talks in a bar once a month, or putting Apple Newtons online, or Lego, so very much Lego. That was the difficult third album. Hands up, anyone here who plays music? Fair few. Does anyone compose music? And who likes music? Yeah, now keep your hands up. Now wave them in the air like you just don't care. You see, music is what brings people together, and that's why I like it. You're getting people together in one place for one reason, and all the other complications in life can just fade away for a few hours. Everyone likes some sort of music or rhythmic performance, but owning music these days is a much more complicated thing than it used to be. Certainly when I was growing up, and you would be able to exchange mixtapes with your friends in the playground, or you would be able to go around someone's house with some LPs under your arm and exchange and listen to alternative forms of music that way. So it's very easy to discover, what's that Nirvana thing that I keep hearing people talking about? I could find someone else who had a Nirvana record. I can't necessarily solve any of the problems with modern music, but I can talk a little bit about them for those of you who might not know about it, and how that then enabled us to get our whole house singing and dancing with music. Has anyone ever brought some film or some music online, or a training course, streamed something on their Virgin Media box or over Sky? Yeah, we've all done it. Has anyone ever bought something on Amazon Prime, which is a mistake I made? Because the problem with buying something on Amazon Prime is it's yours until you decide, well, I don't need a delivery from Amazon once a month anymore. COVID is less bad than it used to be. And then all the things I've bought have disappeared. Not so good. Sky is a little bit better in this country. If you rent a film on their service for an extra £1, they'll actually post you a DVD, which is quite nice. So if you decide you don't need your very expensive... Yes. Is that better? Brilliant, thank you. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Sky will at least post you a DVD for an extra £1, so they're quite useful. So you've either heard of or probably got at least one of these systems, right? So Apple TV, Sonos music boxes, we've got one in our office just down the road, the Bose Sound Touch, an Amazon Fire TV stick. I mean, this list carries on down off the bottom. A lot of these pieces of hardware are tied to their individual services, so it's extremely difficult on a Fire TV stick not to buy Amazon Music, for instance. And Deezer is, again, its own thing. You buy your music on Deezer. And the problem with, you don't have to look at this chart in any great detail. The important thing is we have some music services along the bottom and some very small numbers at the top. And these are the top rates that you might get as an artist for a play of one of your tracks. So a top-rated streamer might get 1/10 of a cent per play. But it's extremely difficult to get that rate. You're going to have to be someone who's streaming hundreds and hundreds of thousands of times a month. And you're very, very unlikely to hit enough streams to get any payout at all, no matter what your actual rate might be. So you might invest all your effort in making these pieces of music, and then nobody sees it because you don't hit the algorithmically generated top 10 list. So how can we find some music now? It's very difficult to have mixtapes. You can't put your MP3s under your arm and carry them around to your friend's house. So there's a couple of projects I want to call out, including one that someone mentioned to me in the bar last night. But the main one I use is called NHAM. So this is NHAM Co.uk, and it's an online music community. And NHAM doesn't really stand for anything. It's the nice, happy amateur music site, or whatever the acronym has changed to this week. And I also want to call out fairplay.band. So this is a distributed open source media player. So it's sort of a stand-in for YouTube music. But they're also building out an ecosystem where you as an artist can use it as a publishing and a communications platform. And it's all going to be open source and available to the community. You may also have heard of things like Bandcamp. So this is a very popular resource with musicians. Again, they've got a much better payout rate, for instance. So Bandcamp will normally only take 30% of every download. And everything you download from Bandcamp, you get to keep forever. So there's no subscription type, which makes it really useful. So these are all examples of fair distribution platforms. So they're working more with the artists, unlike things like Amazon Music or Apple TV, where it's more like, well, how can we figure out how to make as much money out of what should be this wonderful creative experience? I also want to call a shout out to the Open Rights group as well, who were here earlier. If you care about the digital rights aspect of this and other things, I definitely recommend talking to them in the main room. We've got a nice local group going in Manchester now. It's 2026, so I have to say the words AI, otherwise it wouldn't be a 2026 talk, would it? There was a really horrible story from Deezer that was reported on Ars Technica the other week. 44% of new music that's uploaded to Deezer is now AI generated, and almost all of their streaming is fraudulent click fraud. And we're talking, so that's 80,000 tracks a day. So this, as a artist, is very, very difficult because you've got to somehow stand out from this wave of sludge that's being pumped into the platforms. Anecdotally, I think you could say that, like, if it's a YouTube stream longer than about a continuous 2 hours of background music to code to, for instance, that's probably going to be AI generated, for instance, and they're just looking to hook people onto that, leave it on playing, forget that you've got it on in the background, really, and maybe they'll make some money off it. Lots of platforms, because of this problem, now ban AI submissions. So Bandcamp, for instance, has just outright banned AI-assisted music from their platform. Because otherwise, it'd be very difficult to find real people. There was a very good episode of a recent podcast called The Darknet Diaries. It was episode 171, Melody Fraud, that dug into a bit of the background of this and about how you can actually set up essentially a fraudulent record label to front your AI-generated music through, upload it to the music platforms for free, and then make some money back when you click on the streams yourself through your botnet army. And that's when you're starting to monetize individual streams. These are the problems you have, and if you weren't trying to make every last cent, then you wouldn't have this as a problem. So we talked earlier about some sorts of hardware you might have in your house, so this is another audience participation bit. Has anyone got a Sonos? Little white box? Okay. You can see them a bit more in maybe corporate products. Has anyone got a Bose device? Fire Stick? Yeah, yep. An Apple TV box. Okay. What about just a television that might have some sort of app built in, and it might stay working for 5 years if you're lucky, or maybe just a Raspberry Pi? I'm glad so many of you said Raspberry Pis, because that's where we're going to end up. Normally, you buy one of these pieces of hardware, and it dictates what you're going to get from the other column. So if you have a Sonos smart speaker, you have to have a Sonos app. I've certainly tried to control the Sonos in our office from my Linux machine. No, not having any of it. If you're lucky, you can repurpose a Bose or a Fire Stick, for instance, and put something on it like Kodi or OpenELC. But that can be a very specific experience. It's like it's that speaker in that room, and it's got that thing on it. And then in the other room, I've got a different speaker with a different thing on it. So when I was looking to solve this problem in our house, because we didn't have anything at the time that let us stream our lovely collection of freely available music, this is the sort of thought process I had to go in my head when I was picking a piece of software to do this. First of all, it's got to be partner-proof. So I'm not the only person who uses this system in my house. So it's got to have a really good user experience. It can't be. It can't look like PHP B. No PHP developers in? Right, I got away with it. We already use Home Assistant in our house for controlling elements of our smart lighting, so it'd be great if it integrated with Home Assistant as well. And I don't want to be locked into a particular system, so I don't want to install something from a company and then I can only use that company's hardware. So that rules out pretty much all hardware options that you can just go out on the high street and buy. Although there is a bonus track at the end of the talk, if there's time, I'll tell you about high street hardware. And because it's me who's got to look after it, because for my sins, I sysadmin for fun, it's got to be small and understandable enough that I can manage it and I can look after it. And we don't want a huge multimedia type PC in every room either. I'd much rather have my Lego on display, not my computer. So I picked a little project called OMPD. And this has a nice architecture that meets those goals because it acts as a hub and spoke system. So OMPD itself is just a PHP MySQL LAMP thing, and installing it is 2 steps. Download the zip file to your web server and unpack it. Okay, 3, you have to tell it what the initial password is. So there's 3 steps and it's done. And because we have Home Assistant, we already have a home server that's got plenty of storage. So that's where all our music already lives. So for us, it's very straightforward, and it just plugged in. And there's a very long-standing Linux project called MPD to run on the spokes, the bits where the music actually comes out. And that takes in a stream over the home network, actually converts it into output into sound. And if you use a Raspberry Pi for the spokes, you can just plug it into a HDMI socket on your television, and you get that smart speaker experience for little to no cost, and certainly no ongoing cost. You can also get hardware hats for Raspberry Pis as well. So if you've got a bit more of a beefier speaker setup, you can integrate it with that as well, which is great because then we can switch between the record player and the MP3s. So what does OMPD actually look like? This is its homepage. It comes with a variety of themes. So this is a black one and a white one. And it's already been able to go in, read all my existing music, read the tags in the music, figure out what the albums are. Don't judge me for only just buying Fat of the Land by The Prodigy, okay? There's a lot of good music I need to buy. Now I'm not streaming it every month. It keeps track of what you've listened to recently, which is good because it does have a very basic user system built in. So my musical tastes are occasionally different to my partner's, certainly while we're working. So it's good that it tracks those separately. This is probably the screen you spend most of your time on. It's what playing now looks like. You have an upcoming playlist. You have how much time is left, album information, when it came out, and it'll integrate to a lyrics search service of your choice. So hopefully this looks simple and straightforward, and so it's going to pass my significant other test. It's not an app, it's just a shortcut that you open on your web browser on your phone. And when you do open it on your phone, it's a nice responsive website. So it looks very app-like. but with all the same controls. And because it's built on top of the foundations of this MPD project, you also get desktop integration for free. So this is my KDE desktop, and you can see it's just started playing a new track, so it sent me a track change notification. This is Cantana, which is just a normal media player that's built into KDE, but it's connected into the music server, so it knows what's playing where. Speaking of which, I've been talking about whole house audio. This is how you configure the various different places where you've got MPD running. So we've got one plugged into the kitchen television, one into the bar television, and one in Bookcase, which is our home server, and that's actually connected to a set of speakers. And you just, when you're choosing where you want something to come out, you just choose it in the top right-hand corner where you can see Bookcase, and that's where the music that you're currently looking at is going to be coming out. For those of you who like stats, does everyone like stats? Unfortunately, I missed the quantified self-talk earlier about tracking running stats, but yes, 262 unique artists. This is the distribution over years. I do have music older than 2005, I promise. It's just not very well tagged yet, so this is my reminder to myself. Go in and make sure that all my tracks are properly identified. I said I wanted it to integrate with Home Assistant, so this is our house's dashboard. So you can see that there's nothing currently playing in the bar, but upstairs where Bookcase lives, next to the Lego, I'm playing a left field track. So even if you don't want to go to the trouble of remembering, right, where's the shortcut for loading OMPD on my phone, you can just open Home Assistant from the notification slider and, oh, right, there it is. I can at least stop it because someone's rung the doorbell. So this is great. This is pretty good. We can find music. We can download music that we can own and keep forever. And then we can play it in the right place in the house at the right time. But we spent a lot of time looking at our phones, and so this is where there is a little bit of programming involved. And one of my retro computing things is I really like that attract mode in old arcade games. So some of you look like you might be old enough that you've had the experience of walking into a dimly lit room and suddenly all these screens would light up and try and attract you to go and put your 25p in for 3 minutes of entertainment on an arcade machine. So I wanted to give our television-based systems the same sort of ability, just to make them a little bit interesting. And also, we didn't have to get our phone out to find out what was playing, because then we can just, look at the television. Oh, right, it's legend cryptid. So the code for this is on codebook.org/Falcon, Falken. And it's really just strung together with Bash. There's not very much to it. Don't quite have time to go into it, unfortunately. But because it's based on MPD, it can just run on the same Raspberry Pi that's hiding behind the television. It can ask MPD, what are you playing? How far along that track are you? How many tracks are there in the current playlist? And then it can use Cause with different options, though it's using slightly different output here. Just to keep it exciting and a little bit different, so it picks different fonts or cows or cats to say things. But of course, it doesn't always work. A bit like that time I tried to take a photo at an orbital gig. Didn't quite come out right. So some of the things it doesn't do very well is its multi-room support is very basic. So if you do have a Sonos, you can sort of synchronize your speakers in different rooms. You can copy and paste playlists between speakers in OMPD, but you can't synchronize them up, down to the millisecond. But you can certainly get the same playlist in sync enough between different rooms if you're having a party. It didn't used to have automatically updating support, so if you bought some new music and dropped it on your network share, you had to go and press some buttons. And that's the first patch I made to it. In fact, was to add that support in. So now it does. Great. Open source works. It's also got a very particular idea of how you organize your music and your folders. So if you're not careful about making sure that there's one folder for your singles and one folder for your albums, it might have difficulty matching up what's an album and what isn't. But we're working on that. It doesn't handle video, and it's also a very small team of us. So we can provide some level of technical support, but yeah, we're not going to be having a 100-user Discord people helping you out if you do have a problem. But it's so small and simple, it very rarely goes wrong. So that's me. I've been Tom. Thank you, Manchester. Yeah, I've got 5 minutes, I think.
There we go. So I'm going to use my privilege as having the mic to ask a question.
Okay.
So Music Assistant has SendSpin now, which is a multi-room thing.
Yep.
And you talked about Home Assistant, and I just wondered what your thoughts were about future moving in that direction, potentially.
Haven't had time to look at it, is the answer. But it's nice that the community recognizes that this is a space where it's lacking compared to its more established closed rivals. And I'm quite excited to try it out, hopefully while not breaking the existing one that we use in the meantime. It really depends how the individual nodes end up working.
Questions?
Have you heard of and considered how it compares to such as Lyrion Music Server, which is the service that used to be Logitech Media Server?
Yes, which I think is quite similar to Jellyfin, if I'm right. They're bigger, they do more stuff, they're maybe better maintained. But if we go back to what I said earlier, it's got to be small enough that if it breaks, I can fix it. Whereas something that's as big and complicated as Jellyfin, it might take hours to find the file that does it, whereas opening playlist.php is a much more straightforward experience, which is the same reason why it's not why OMPD is not distributed as like a Docker container or something. It's just too simple for that to be worthwhile.
Please don't throw anything at me. So I would look forward to trying this because I've bounced off some other ones.
Good.
The one kind of gap that maybe this doesn't try to do would be out-of-home play.
Sorry?
Out-of-home play.
Yes.
So kind of like, what's your thoughts on, is that just that you should treat that as a different problem? Is it something that you would expect to see in this kind of thing one day? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Right. So playing our music when you're outside our house, it turns into a network problem. So as long as my device thinks it's in the house because it's connected to the VPN that terminates in our house, then it works fine. You can get an MPD client for Android, almost certainly for other platforms as well. It does work, but there's so much storage on your modern mobile phone, you might as well just copy it and take it with you. And usually when I'm out about, I'm listening to a podcast rather than music. So that works quite well. Do we have time for the bonus track, if there aren't any more questions?
We've definitely currently got time for a bonus track. Does anybody have any last burning question? There's one? No? No? Let's do... Oh, go on in.
So, thank you for this. This is really interesting. So, I'm wondering, I'm going to ask some tricky questions. So, the way that you play music is very different from the way I play music. So, I'm usually playing DJ mixes.
Okay.
And I'm also playing, streams from other sites like Soma FM. And I want to be able to do that across my house. And so I have a system where I'm using lots of Bluetooth to do that.
Yes.
But I'm wondering if there was a way, if those cases could also be covered by Oma, I can't say them.
Yeah. So playing web radio just works. There's an option for adding the stream endpoint, and it will play it. In terms of how you output from the individual spokes, where I said HDMI or an audio hat. Because it's MPD, it's built on top of the Linux Pulse audio stack, so it will send it to pretty much anything. So yes, I stream over Bluetooth from MPD all the time, for instance, so it works well. And that's the bonus track, which is if you go to dandelion.computer, they've recently posted how to connect it to Apple HomePods. So your Apple HomePods aren't e-waste anymore. You can connect them to open source. Thank you very much.
So that is replacing the Apple HomePod firmware, or
It turns out that there is a protocol that Apple HomePods support, so you don't have to flash a special firmware to them or anything. You just turn on some extra settings in Pulse Audio, and then MPD has an output to Pulse Audio, and Pulse Audio talks to...
Dandelion.
It's dandelion.computer, and it's their most recent blog post.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.